Hello, good morning, and welcome to episode 3 of the Vibe Online. And the Vibe Online is our weekly podcast with myself, Karen, and Megan. And every week we will bring to you some highlights, lowlights, fun games, and laughter of what our life is like since stepping into the online world, and share everything there is to know that we have learned about network marketing, life in general, and fun. So this week for episode 3, what we're going to talk about is what has changed for us since stepping into the online world and working online. So we've had a little chat about this, and I think it's very similar that we've got a kind of like top 3 that we want to share with you guys. So Meg, do you want to start off with the top one, and we'll share?
Yeah, totally. Welcome, guys. Good morning. So, when Karen and I were having a chat about this and around what has changed for us since starting online, and there is a lot. There is a lot. So we did kind of need to narrow it down today to just 3, and I'm sure we'll be sharing many more of them on episodes to come. I mean, for me, it's like, and I know for both of us, it's been a whole complete 360 since we began our journey and into the online world. Even just learning about the opportunities online, that was an absolute mind-blowing game changer. And then actually going through those experiences and how we've changed over time. I mean, I've certainly come from ready to settle down as a girl in Surrey to now I've been living in Southeast Asia, and everything's completely changed. But yeah, we said that we would kind of dwindle it down to maybe the top 3 ones. And one that we both fully agreed on was the way that we viewed money.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's a major one, right? And I know that so many people, when they come into this, or even if they're not even interested in the online world or just in general day-to-day life, money, it revolves around everything, right? Everything requires money, everything in our life needs money. But from where I come from, and I think, Karen, you might be similar, and I'm sure our listeners come from very similar those thoughts and feelings around money as well, in the sense of we don't really talk about money. Money is one of those taboo subjects that people have a perception of money, potentially, that it's evil, or you don't need a lot of money to be happy. There's all of these kind of limiting beliefs around the thought of money. And certainly when I started, I didn't start for the money. Of course, yeah, that was like really intriguing. And I was like, yes, I want the money. I want to have a really successful future and be able to enjoy myself and enjoy my life and also give back with money. But in my mindset of things, I didn't have in my mind that I wouldn't openly say, yes, I'm starting to work online because I want money. Does that make sense? Like, it was more around, yes, I wanted the growth. I wanted to come into the online world. I wanted to meet the community. And the money side of it was like, it was stum. I didn't really speak about it. But of course, that's what all changed when we came into this, and you start really learning about money and what it can do for you in life. And we all know that you need money to do things. So really the mindset around money is really what changed for me. So yeah, when we have these thoughts around money, like we grow up with thoughts, say for example, like I grew up with, money doesn't grow on trees, you don't need money to be happy, money is the root of whatever, right? And actually, money's not bad.
Absolutely not bad.
What's your thoughts around money? How did it change for you?
Yeah, really, really similar. So I obviously grew up thinking very, the same. I can remember my parents saying, money's the root of all evil. People are not nice when they've got lots of money. Rich people are this, rich people are that. You don't need money to be happy. You don't need money to, like literally everything revolved around not needing money. And the less money you had, the happier you were. And I was just like, but how doesn't make any sense, because you need money to live, you need money to eat, you need money to heat your house, you need money to pay the bills, you need money to put a roof over your head. So if you don't have all that, how can you be happy? And how is that evil when you're paying to look after your life and provide for your kids and your family? But anyway, I think because we grew up for so long, and just as society, most of us, I imagine a lot of our listeners will probably be able to relate to this, is that they had the same. And I don't know whether it's a generation thing or, you know, that kind of, I don't know whether you want to say like an era where it's probably a lack of education to a degree, because we're never taught about it in school, right? So we grow up, we go through school, nobody talks about money. Like you say, it's so taboo. You don't talk about what you earn, you don't talk about how much things cost, you don't talk about anything to do with money, and it's really, really strange. And I think we see it now more because of obviously the online business we've stepped into, and the mindset and the training that we've done around finances and money and what it can bring you, and how it's absolutely beautiful to have all this money to be able to help other people. And that's, I think, my take on it now is it's completely changed. But you know, it's funny because I still have conversations with people, like we were just discussing before this, that people are still saying, oh, money's the root of all evil. And I'm just like, it's really not. Like, but I can hand on heart now say that I understand that 100% that it's not, because if we don't have money and we're not making money, how can we help other people? How can we help look after our families? How can we help provide for charities? How can we help volunteer? How can we spread all that love throughout the world without having the money to do it? Because ultimately, if you don't have the money, you can't do it. So yes, I've, like, as we said, you know, everything's completely changed with us since coming online, but this is definitely one of the biggest ones for me. And I think just the whole shift is still a bit like, God, did I really used to think like that? Did I really have such narrow-minded tunnel vision when it came to money? And I just think, you know, my experience of it now, well, yeah, I never solely just came in for the finances. Yes, that was a big part of it for me, but you know, never did I ever imagine to the extent that that is able to be made in this business. But as well, it was the whole package. But then this has come to the surface, I think, more because of just the subject that it is. It's just money, it's finances, it's, you know, everything that we were never allowed to discuss as a kid. And I can remember sitting when my grandparents were still alive and sitting in theirs, and you know, it was like whenever money was mentioned, it was like, oh, you've got to look after the pennies and the pounds will look after themselves, you know. And everybody was so focused on like being really, really careful with money. And yes, you do have to be careful with money, I'm not saying don't be, but it was such a high focus, but yet you weren't allowed to speak about it. I'm not sure whether you had sort of similar when you were kind of growing up, Meg.
Yeah, I did. And going back on something that you mentioned there, and in talking about money, no one talks about money. It's because our environments, it seems like they say money doesn't make you happy. No, money doesn't make you happy, but it facilitates things that complement life,
Yeah.
that add to your happiness. So
Yeah.
something that my partner Michael says a lot of the time, and he puts it into perspective, is what would you rather be? You can be one of these four things, and what would you rather if you had the choice? Poor and unhappy, poor and happy, rich and unhappy, or rich and happy? If you had the choice, which would it be?
Absolutely rich and happy every day.
Rich and happy, and not even like the word rich, some people see as something negative or something, just because we're taught to believe that you shouldn't talk about money and you're not allowed money. Why are we not allowed money? Money's
Yeah.
just paper, it goes around the world, it literally facilitates everything that we can possibly have. Why can't everyone have money? It's not
Yeah.
a bad thing. No one owns it. If you think about, you know,
No.
that kind of side of it. But yeah, I grew up very much the same. You know, I'm one of 5 kids, and my parents didn't have a lot of money growing up. My dad had 2 jobs. My mum was working. We never had a lot of money. You know, it was always very in lack.
Yeah.
And that was always the mentality. You know, look after your money, be good with your money. But it was never finding ways to make money and retain money. You know, we talk a lot in what we do here, because there's so much of an abundance opportunity with working online and the ability to earn passively, which when you first come into this and you look at it and you're like, no chance, that can't be right,
Yeah.
that can't be real, because you've never experienced any abundance like it.
Yeah.
But then you wouldn't have, because you haven't been exposed to anything like that. When you was talking about environments earlier, you don't talk about money because no one talks about money. It's that environment of you all see money exactly the same. So until you're kind of out of that environment and in an environment where they openly talk about money and it's clear as day, you're allowed to speak about it, because why shouldn't you be?
Yeah.
Then that's when things start to change. And it's like when we go for jobs. I don't know whether our listeners feel the same way, but I certainly did when I went for jobs. I was never really satisfied with how much I was being paid. You know, £2 a month. I'm like, okay, that probably just covers my bills.
Yeah.
It's nice. I'm grateful for my job that I have that, but it would be nice to have some more. It would
Yeah.
be nice to have some more money to put away, go on holiday, maybe find a nicer apartment, maybe eat some healthier food, nicer food, upgrade life a little bit. But we kind of settle a lot for the wage that we're given because our employer tells us that that's what we're worth, or that's what this job is worth.
Yeah.
When actually we all want more money, like we can't deny that. So I would like to hear from the listeners, do you want more money? Like, is that something that you would like? Would you like more money? And in my eyes, everyone would like more money, but we don't like to admit it because there's this societal feeling and thoughts and mentality around that money is bad and that
Yeah.
money is evil. So when we came into the online space and they were openly talking about money and actually the mindset around money and how you don't need to feel the way that you did around it, and actually it's something that can really complement your life, and there's a lot to go round, things really started to change and you start to react to money differently, or like take care of money differently. You start to respect it a bit more.
Yeah.
For
Definitely.
example, I started folding my notes instead of scrunching them up and putting them in my pocket.
Yeah.
So having respect for it, and then it pays respect back to you, which is probably something for another episode that we can kind of go more into, like a money mindset,
Yeah.
and talk a lot more
Definitely.
about that. But there's tons of books around it. Rich Dad Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
There's loads. I mean, maybe we can just put in the show notes as well a couple of books around money that
Yeah.
we found really useful.
Yeah. Share our books that we've read. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say money is a major one, and it used to make me uncomfortable talking about it, and my parents would be uncomfortable talking about it in the environments. But now I quite openly talk about money, and I think it's very healthy to
Yeah,
talk about
absolutely.
money.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. And I think it's really important to let people know that it's okay to talk about money, and it's okay to shout from the rooftops how much you've made this month, that month, whatever, because it's not, you're not doing it out of bragging and showing off to people. You're doing it from our perspective and our line of business, that we want to show people what's possible, what you can also have. You don't have to stay in a capped job where your boss decides what you're worth in that job and that's it. Within the network marketing space, which is an incredible space to be in, is an uncapped opportunity of earning the money that will give you the life that you want, regardless of what that may be. If you want to go and earn millions within that space, then that's amazing, but not everybody does. Some people are quite happy with just earning a few £1,000s, but still, it's giving you the financial gain for all aspects of your life to change. So shout it from the rooftops and let everybody else know what's available. If I earn 10k a month, 20k a month, 5k a month, then that's more than I get in my average job, and I have done for the last 14 years. Why wouldn't I want to shout that from the rooftops and tell everybody else what's possible for
I'd
them?
say a huge part as well with the network marketing industry, which is so different, to any other industry, is that we want to celebrate people's success.
Absolutely.
You don't really find many other places, and putting my finger on it now, that's probably why people don't speak about money. They don't share their income. They don't say, oh yeah, I've got this bonus. Like, it's incredible. Like, congratulations, you worked hard for it.
Amazing.
Let's celebrate your success.
Yeah.
Because like it's going to come to all of us, right? But in a normal environment, it's like, oh, well, why do you have,
Yes. It's
why
such
do
a
you have that
lack
amount of money?
mentality.
It's a lack mentality, and it's almost like an envious, jealous
Yeah.
type of mentality as well. But I'm sure everyone, when they come into a space like what we do as well, we come in from that space of feeling that way to now into a space where we openly talk about and we celebrate people's success. It's a very different mind shift.
Yeah.
But it's so, what's the word that I'm thinking of? I don't have one at the moment. Maybe the best one I can think of is like, it's welcoming, it's heartwarming to know that you can just be so open about it and you can just
Yeah.
talk about income, because it's going to come to all of you
Yeah.
anyway. You know, that's going to come in cycles, and it's going to come around. So it's nice to share success and see money in a different light, that it's not evil and it does complement you. So I'd be really interested to hear from the listeners what you think on the side of money, what you currently
Definitely.
think, if that's changed for you over the years, or if you agree with anything that we're saying, because it's okay if you do or you don't, but it'd be really interesting. So should we move on to our number 2 point?
Yes. Yes. So yeah, money we could talk all day about, but yeah, let's move on to the next one. So our next top 3 is confidence. So geez, where to start with this one? This is another huge one that we could talk about all day. Maybe we should have just done one. Anyway, confidence has been probably the biggest growth that I've had in myself and my journey, but also what I've seen in other people in the community and in the online space as well. And it's amazing where you kind of like, you come in as this kind of shy, timid person. You don't really, you want to be here, but you don't want to be here. You kind of tip your toe in the water, kind of like, how's it going to be? And then you gradually, your toe becomes your foot, and then your foot becomes your ankle, and then before you know it, you're up to your waist and you're absolutely loving it. And that's my kind of like analogy of how I kind of felt. So like, when I came into this, I couldn't even put my camera on. I couldn't speak like freely like this. I couldn't, dear God, I could never even think of talking on social media. Like, what is all that about? Let alone speaking and connecting to people I didn't even know every day. I can do that at work, and I've done it for work for years because I can pick up a phone and be like, I'm hidden. Nobody can see me if I'm like bright red of embarrassed or stuttering and not know what to say. But when you're actually out there on a camera like this or on social media, I was like, absolutely no way. No way. So like, well, just over like a year and a half ago, there was absolutely no way that I could have done any of this. So for me, that has been my biggest sort of hurdle and block that I've got over myself. But it's purely down to stepping into the fear of the unknown, joining the community, taking the time to work on myself, be coachable, and work on my mindset, which has been huge. And I know, Meg, you've obviously had confidence stories as well, and hurdles and all, and very similar, but do you want to share some of your ones and how you felt?
Yeah. So I will point out that for our listeners that don't know, Karen and I have been on this journey together over the last year and a half.
Yeah.
And we've been accountability partners, and we have pushed each other through these fears and overcome them together, especially with something like confidence. Let's take us back to when we were doing lives on Instagram for the first time. We were shaking, we were sweating, like
Yeah.
terrified to show our faces. And you saying about picking up a phone and being able to speak on the phone or speak to someone face to face, that's great, that's fine. But what is it about just having that visual
Yeah, I
on
know.
social media that adds that extra fear there? But yeah, confidence has bloomed for both of us hugely over the last year. And it does come down to getting out of our comfort zone
Yeah.
and pushing ourselves to challenge ourselves and get out there, especially with things like going live on social media, even
Yeah.
talking on stories, or even getting on the team calls. I remember when I first came into this, it's funny because I had confidence when I first came into this. I think I jumped on our team call and I was out speaking on the team call quite openly when I first came into the community. And then I don't know whether reality hit me, and I was like, and then confidence just like rock bottom. I was like, where have I come from? And I think it was a massive reality check, because when you first come into this, and I'm sure a lot of people will feel this if you're not already in the online space, but there's so much excitement and you're like, this is great, I love all of
Yeah.
this. And it is throughout the whole thing as well. But then it's like, shit, this is going to change my life. And you have that realization. So yeah, confidence for me, I've had my peaks and troughs with it. And now I'm at a really good, like, steady leveling up era of building that confidence more and more, and still get those terrifying moments where I don't feel like I have any confidence whatsoever. But again, it's usually because you then need to like push yourself out of your comfort zone again
Yeah.
and gain that confidence in that area. Our confidence tends to come from things that we just don't feel confident in doing yet, things that we've not done before, or things that we feel like we haven't mastered yet or don't know enough about. So really what we do in the community and what we do with the online space and how we've seen people grow is pushing them beyond their fears and just saying, well, just take action, just do
Yeah.
it. Because what's the worst that could happen? Okay, you fuck up on a live, you swear, you can't do this or that. Fine.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to do it again, and then your confidence is going to be able to grow. Then you're going to grow and grow and grow. And it's that constant learning curve. It is that constant learning curve. But yeah, confidence, I think, is for a lot of people that come into the online space, because it's so new and it's so different to how we tend to do things. It's very easy to hide behind a telephone call, or
Yeah.
just be behind your desk at work and crack on and do work. But so when you actually work on social media and you're out there and you're speaking to people, getting out of your comfort zone and building that confidence is so key. But when you have that and you're building it, oh my gosh, does it feel like liberating? It
Yeah, it
feels so
really does.
good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It feels so good to get yourself out there and to build yourself, and also to watch other people grow in their confidence, which we've seen so much over the
So
last
many.
year or
Yeah. It's
two.
so incredible to watch.
It is phenomenal, and it's so nice watching them from the very beginning, because we all start terrified, like shaking, like you didn't want to turn on the camera, you were terrified to go on lives, even speaking or getting on a team call. It's scary, but what makes it nice and what makes it a lot easier is you're not alone.
Yeah,
Like, you have a whole
absolutely.
community of people that feel exactly the same way as you do when you start, and they've all come from that place. If they're not there at the moment, we have people join all the time. So there's always different stages of your path that you go on, especially with confidence. But it's nice to know that you're not alone, and that you have a community kind of building you up and encouraging you, because it can be easy to just avoid doing things
Yeah.
if you're
Oh,
just by yourself, right?
you can 100% like just put it off, ignore that phone when you're getting asked to do something. No, I can't do it. Like, if Lisa, our coach, mine and Meg's coach, and we will bring Lisa on the
Yeah,
podcast
we will, yeah.
one day soon, and those who follow us on our social media will know who Lisa is. Lisa loves a challenge, and she's phenomenal at what she does. She's an incredible coach, and she gets us to work on our confidence. Jeez, oh, the challenges when we first came in, and one of the first ones that she loves is to go and do a live, and I could feel my whole like body like I can't. I was almost crying to the fact that I was like, please, I felt sick and everything. Even doing lives with you, I was like, Meg, you push the button, please push the button. Like, literally couldn't do it. So for people like to be so scared and terrified and have, or what you feel is having no confidence at the moment, you will grow, you will blossom, you'll become the best version of yourself if, like Meg just said, face the fears, push yourself outside your comfort zone and do it. Because yes, it's fucking scary at the time, but the growth and change you get from that is incredible. And we are two of thousands of others that work online that have experienced the exact same, and we're here to share this experience. And everybody that who is listening, if you've had a similar sort of experience with confidence, or you're maybe wanting to try and grow your confidence, and you know, you're maybe thinking of even coming into the online world, but you fear your confidence is holding back, let us know. You know, we would happily, you know, spend some time chatting with you, and we can do another episode on another way of how, sort of more in depth into how to build your confidence and how we've actually done it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been huge for me, and never in a million years would I ever thought I'd be here doing a podcast with you, Meg. So
I still can't believe it myself that we're here, episode three in, and we are here doing it. I mean, that goes to show the confidence growth that we've both had.
yeah,
And I think it certainly helps when, going back to the community thing, that you have someone with you. Like, you used to be terrified of doing lives, but you know, we boost each other up. You know, we tell each other our fears. It's like, well, let's do it together then. Like,
yeah,
let's do it together. Let's get over that fear. Let's build that confidence. Because once you've got it, you start building those little bricks.
yeah,
And eventually you build a wall, and like, you're strong and you've got that confidence. And then, you know, brick by brick, you kind of build it up, and it gets there. So yeah, confidence was a huge one for us.
yeah,
Definitely.
massive. It's just nice to know you've kind of like, you've always got somebody there to hold your hand from a distance if you need
Yeah,
it,
that's it. Yeah,
which
it's
is,
nice.
yeah, amazing. But yeah, another one we could talk more all day about, could we? And all share all our stories and experiences. But the third one we want to talk about is self-care. So do you want to start with that one, Meg?
Yeah. So the word self-care, I don't know how much our listeners know about self-care, are into self-care. It's something that I had no clue about before coming into the online world, which seems so odd to me now because it's part of my everyday life and I would never be without it now. Self-care, when you come into something like this, or just in general day-to-day life, you really need it. You really need to look after yourself. So what changed for me, coming from having no self-care and no understanding of really what it means to take care of yourself, coming from a background of always serving others, which is within our nature to do, is exactly why we're in network marketing, because we love to help people, we love to serve other people. But there's also an element for you to be able to serve people and to help people, really need to look after yourself first.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about self-care, we're talking about mentally, physically, emotionally, taking care of yourself and thinking about what it is for you to feel good. So when I started to introduce morning routines, so getting up in the morning, taking that time for yourself, reading, some meditation, you know, writing down my goals, going for a walk and listening to a podcast, having a coffee just by myself, you know, just having that time to prep and prime yourself for the day has been a huge game changer. I came from, this is going to be quite embarrassing. I literally lived my life like this for so long prior to coming into this. I would get up 15 minutes before I had to leave the house for work, rush my ass off to get ready because I wanted every single second of sleep that I could get. Rush my ass off, then rush to get out the door, get to work, rush commute on the tube all the way to London. So you can imagine how busy things are going on in your head are. And then go to work, straight into work, and then for the whole day, just manic. It's chaos. It's chaos. So I know so many people live like that. That was me for so many years. So when I started to introduce self-care, it was very unusual. It was very uncomfortable to begin with. I'm like, do I have time for this? Do I have time to get up and do a meditation? Do I have time to read a book? Do I have time to go for a walk? Now, when you flip that and you say, do I have time for myself? And your answer is no, you don't have time for yourself. Then what you got to think, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, if you can't have time for yourself, then you can't have time for anyone else or anything. And it doesn't take a lot of time out to do those kind of things. So that was huge for me. And I'll be honest, there's self-care and there's self-love. They're two different things.
Yeah.
And I think we'll do another podcast on more in depth about this, because again, it's another one that we can go into forever.
Yeah.
But if we're just talking about self-care for now and our kind of routines and what we do to make ourselves feel good,
Yeah.
that's something that I didn't have before coming into this. And what I am actually so grateful for network marketing and the way that we do things, because we do things differently. We put personal development, personal growth, and our own health, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, before any business, any money making, anything else.
Yeah.
And that is what I love. And one of the main reasons why I came into this, actually, because I wanted to develop and I wanted to look after myself, because I'd neglected myself for so many years. So self-care was a huge one. What's your take on self-care?
Yeah, massive, really. I didn't really do any self-care, like similar to you. My routine and my day was all very, very different. You know, I'm a lot older than you. I'd had a family, I've got kids, but as much as my life was going to work, having a family, looking after the family home, looking after the kids and doing everything that comes with that, I was just like, really looking back now, I was the robotic mum that just did it because you had to do it, but I never actually took time for me. So my
It's so relatable. So many mums will be listening to this and thinking,
yeah,
actually, yeah, it's the same.
and you get up every day and it's like Groundhog Day. You have to do this, you have to do X, Y, Z, and then get the kids out to school, go to work, whatever, and then do it all again at night time. And then that's it before you know it. Like, and very much like you know, you go to bed, you want to have as much sleep as you possibly can because you're absolutely freaking knackered after your day. And then you get up and you go all over again. And it's that vicious cycle. And the only time that I ever had time for me, and my followers online will know how much the gym and fitness is a huge part of my life, and it has been for years. That was kind of the only time that I had to go to the gym, but it was done in a very rushed kind of way. You know, I would have my lunch break, I'd have an hour's lunch break, I'd have to get changed, get to the gym, do my workout, generally leave early before the class had even finished, because I then had to get back to work, get showered, and back to the office all within an hour. So it was absolutely manic. So then coming into this and then realizing like we actually get to focus on us. Well, what do I want to do? Like what am I going to do? What do I want to do? Like, and then obviously speaking to everybody else and realizing, you know, like the importance of having a morning routine and a routine that serves you and sets you up for the day and gets you in a good space. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. And then obviously reading books as well on self-development, self-care. And the big one for me was when I read the 5 a.m. Club, which again we'll drop that in the links for the podcast. But then I was like, wow, what a game changer. Something as simple as that allowed me to get up that little bit earlier, to do my exercise, to sit and enjoy reading my book with a coffee and work on me and do things that I wanted at a slower pace of life, and then go into work. And then just kind of made me put it more into perspective that if I wasn't feeling 100% and I wasn't looking after myself, how could I look after everybody else? So
Yeah.
it's huge.
Yeah, it is major, and I think it's really key probably at this moment in time to talk about the effects and the consequences of not having self-care in your life, because I certainly felt for many years the consequences of it being anxiety, high like blood pressure, constantly in fight or flight mode, feeling stressed, and that's all because I could have, but I didn't. I didn't know about it, okay? In fairness, a lot of people don't know about self-care. But if I had some self-care in my life, you know, taking that hour in the morning for myself, giving, you know, even if it's giving yourself a bath, you know, just without anything else, just silence and just relax by yourself, give yourself some time. But I didn't have any of that because I wasn't in an environment where people were talking about self-care or really looking after yourself. It was always go, 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 go. What's the next thing that we need to do? Let's fill our day with this and this and this and this. And you feel like you don't have time for yourself. And that is quite sad. It's quite
Yeah.
sad, really, when you think you don't have time for yourself.
Because nobody,
Everyone would love to have time for themselves.
yeah, absolutely. And nobody actually sits down and asks how you are when you're
Mm.
in that lifestyle and everybody's the same. Like you say, you're in that vicious rat race of having no time and that vicious circle of just going and going and going and going. Nobody takes the time to sit back and just be like, how are you doing? Are you okay? Like,
Mm.
whereas now in this network marketing space, it's very much up there in the high importance, isn't it, to make sure that you're good in yourself, but also look out for other people and make sure that they're okay. But also another big one for me was having the ability and the confidence to say no to people. That was huge for me, and not being the people pleaser anymore that I was for years.
Yeah, that's a major one. Setting boundaries,
Yeah,
healthy boundaries is a really, really major one. And I think that was a game changer for me as well when I started to protect my energy. And
yeah,
that was nothing on anybody else or anyone else around me. It was never to be offending or insulting or anything like that. You're solely doing it to look after yourself so that you could be in the best possible state that you can be, and not allow those environments to affect you as they used to. You know, you can react to things differently when you start to gain an awareness around it and you say, actually, that makes me feel a certain way, that makes me feel on a low vibration, that makes me feel bad or sick or anxious or whatever it is. I'm probably going to separate myself a little bit from that.
yeah,
Or like put one of those kind of boundaries up that says, you know, if that's a bit too much for me, I'm just going to distance slightly.
yeah,
And that's just for your own health. And that is so necessary sometimes. I think it's important to mention to our listeners as well is that how important it is to set those boundaries if you are feeling like your energy is being drained
yeah,
from a situation, and you're allowed to do that. You're
yeah.
allowed to have that space. You're allowed to set that boundary.
Yeah, and it's absolutely normal, and so many people do it, and I think we never knew about it before stepping into the online world. But actually, it's again, it's a bit of a taboo subject in the sort of corporate world, isn't it? Where people don't really talk about it because I don't know whether it's such a lack of care because everybody's so focused on their job and their lifestyle.
You know what I think it is? When you mentioned earlier about does someone actually ask you if you're okay?
Yeah,
I think people don't want to ask because they don't want to hear the answer because they don't know how to help, because
yeah,
they also don't feel okay.
yeah. That's
And
very true, actually.
it's that cycle of I'm not feeling good. I know you're not feeling good. Am I going to ask you if you're okay? And then we because can I facilitate you to have a space where I can actually help you? We
Yeah,
have that here
yeah,
in the online space because we've now come into something that's different and facilitates space for people to grow and understand and build and have a safe space to speak about these things and grow through any thoughts and feelings that they have. But in normal society, normal day-to-day life, in jobs, in even family, friends, environments and stuff, you know, we're all dealing with stuff.
yeah.
Does anybody really know how to help a person if you then open up that conversation to see if anyone's actually okay?
Yeah, I suppose it's knowing first of all what to say, isn't it? What's the initial wording that you speak to somebody when they've actually said, actually, I'm having a really shit day and I'm not doing okay. Like I would always previously have been like, okay, I'm gonna speak to your manager or something. Like I was honestly so awkward. It's like if somebody has a really bad accident or if there's a death, or they're always really awkward situations and conversations to have, aren't they? Because you don't know what to say in that situation. And I think that's very similar. And I think now, because we've found the online space and we've trained ourselves and learned and understood how to be the coach to get people out of that space, then it's a lot easier, and it's easier for us to kind of sit here now and be like, well, we can help you, we can get you through all this, and do you know what, it's okay to ask somebody if they're okay or if they're not okay, because there's always somebody else here that can help if you feel you can't, which is
Mm.
important.
Yeah, I think what's happened over time as well, and I don't know whether our listeners agree with this or not, but society is built this kind of barrier or this separation between us actually being humans and being compassionate people, because there's all of these stresses and events and things that we have to deal with mentally, and there's no space for people to express that or work through their issues. And as we just spoke about there, and you're scared to ask someone if they're okay,
Yeah.
or to ask for help. People are actually afraid to ask for help because it's like, well, how can people help me? Because there's no environment or no safe area to say, actually, we do have what you need. Like, we
Yeah.
have what you need, and it's okay for you to feel a certain way, and it's okay for you not to be like to not feel okay. But in normal society, they just don't have those spaces to allow
Yeah.
for that, or open up that conversation. Whereas in what we do online, which is just such a beautiful space, is that we have that. We have that, and we welcome people in to say, hey, this is your place to be. This is your tribe. Like, come and feel normal human connection, because
Yeah.
that's what's been lost over the time.
That's it. Definitely. And it's quite sad, as you say, that it just rolls along. You know, there's nobody kind of there to be like, things need to change. Unless I suppose you see it as we did when we stepped into the online world, and we then learned about self-care and what was there. It's more of an education. It's like, I'd love to be able to get out there and just educate all the corporate world, everybody that works in it, and be like, do you know what? Take time away, step away and take time for you. Like, I used to be really, really bad of switching on my laptop earlier than I needed to, working past I was getting paid for, logging on a weekend and checking all this because the pressure of work was there. And now I'm like, there's so many, everybody, and I'm sure everybody listening will agree, there's, if you're not in WhatsApp groups or messenger chats or getting tagged on some kind of social media, or somebody's trying to talk to you at some given point in the day about something, and God, my work is horrendous for it. You know, we've got WhatsApp for work, and it goes early in the morning, it goes weekends, it goes at nighttime. Well, my working hour is 8 till 4, and out with that now, and I've told them at work, I'm not here. I mute the chat and I leave it, because I've got other things and I've got other priorities in my life that I need to deal with, and I need to remove and separate my time. That's my work time, and anything with work will be dealt with in those hours. And then anything out with is where I get to look after me and do me and my life and my business, and do what makes me feel good, to ultimately have the rest of my life and everybody else feeling good. Because if you don't start looking after yourself, you're going to have that ripple effect of making everybody else feel the same way as you. So you've got to start internally.
Such a key thing to point on there. Such a key thing. Like, internet and technology is incredible. Where it's so advanced, it's non-stop. You know,
Yeah.
we have it with us all the time, and it doesn't stop. And I was very much like you. Like, before I came into this, I didn't have any extra hobbies, didn't really do any self-development, didn't really know who I was, because I was caught in this rat race.
Yeah.
Whereas constantly my life was about work. I would get up first thing in the morning, I'd stick in my laptop, am I checking my emails? I'm checking my emails on the way to work.
Yeah.
What's going on today? My calendar. Oh, I've got this meeting, that meeting. Now I'm nervous. Now I'm under pressure and feeling anxious. And then that would just snowball
Yeah.
into a whole week. And then I'd usually have a bit of a mental breakdown, and like once every 3 months or something, like burnout would hit me, and I'd be slammed,
Yeah.
gone, and I'd be so unwell. And I never knew how to get out of that cycle, because I didn't know anything about self-care. I didn't know about setting boundaries, didn't know, because I felt so controlled by that. But now I have control over it,
Yeah.
So, for example, I've just come away from a digital detox. First time I've done one, which was yesterday. That's a form of self-care. Now, yes,
Absolutely.
we work online. I also do my virtual assistant stuff. So I am, we're always surrounded by technology these days, whether you're online or not. We all are. And to take that time away and say, actually, no, you know what? The phone's just going to be turned off for a day, and I'm just going to be present, and I'm going to reconnect with nature, with friends, with family, whatever it is you're going to do without any distraction from technology at all.
Yeah.
Wow. You come back to it and you're like, that was incredible. I mean, listeners, I would love for you guys to try this. Just taking a day, or just switch your phone off, go out, go for a walk, go to your favorite place and just spend the day with yourself. Grab a notepad and pen, you know, write down some thoughts, whatever. Take some time for yourself, and that self-care is so important. So I think definitely having that boundary on, okay, like you said, my working hours are this time to this time. Up until that time, I'm not looking at anything,
Yeah.
because why do I need that to now affect my energy, and it's going to have a cause and effect throughout my whole day or my
Yeah.
whole week? Because as soon as you start letting that energy in, it's going to start snowballing or manifesting into something else. Whereas when you've got that self-care in the morning, you're priming yourself for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
You're calm, you're collected, you know that you've done something for yourself, you feel good. So anything that comes up in the day, that challenge and obstacle, you've got it.
Yeah. And
You've
the
got it
beauty
down.
of what we have online is we can choose when we do that.
Yeah.
Do you know, like in a job, obviously we're both still working, you're still doing your VA stuff and I'm still working full time, and everybody else that's listening that does, you know, work, you are limited to the times that you have to be available. You have to be there, and you have to be at that person's beck and call for whether it's full-time, part-time hours every single day of the week, up to 37, 40, 65, whatever, how many hours you work in your job. You can't just decide, oh, I don't want to work today, unless you pull a sickie. Like, you know, we've all been there, but that's
Yeah.
generally because it all gets too much for us. Whereas in the online space, you know, if we don't want to work in the morning and we want to keep our phone switched off because we'd want to do our self-care in a morning routine and stuff like that, or an evening routine, you know, whatever we decide to do, we've got that ability. You know, if people message us, we'll get back to them when we're ready, because this is the whole point of us doing this, is that, you know, we're looking after us, but to allow us to grow our business, we have to look after us. So it's all part of the business in a really beautiful kind of way.
Yeah, yeah. And that is such a key point of this, you know, when you're able to choose your working hours, and you know, you don't actually have to ask permission to be sick or have time out, or you know,
Or
you may
nothing.
find that there are certain times in the day, and I certainly do, where I have more energy, and they're my times where I fit in certain tasks. And then there's other times where I know throughout the day that I need a bit more of rest or whatever. And you can schedule your work with the online space around your body clock and how you feel and how you want to work. You know, it
Yeah.
works on your schedule. It doesn't work on your boss tells you have to be here for 12 hours a day and do a shift, you know, and it changes on a weekly basis, and you know, your body's all up in the air and you don't really know whether you're coming or going, but you have to, because you've got to pay the bills and you've got to be paid, and you know, whatever it is. With this, it's different. You get to choose when you work according to you and how it works for you. Like you're in the UK, I'm in Southeast Asia, we're on completely different time zones. We're going to work
Yeah.
at different times. That's the great thing about it as well. It's 24/7. It can work
Yeah.
around the clock, and we've got the automation that works for us.
Exactly.
So even when we're not feeling like working, the business is still running,
Yeah.
which is amazing. So yeah, that's I mean a huge benefit of having the online space as
Massive.
well as the support that you get when you are feeling low or feeling down or feeling low energy, because you don't get that in a, you know, in normal society or normal job either. You know, you don't message your boss and saying I'm feeling really shit today and expect to get back a love shower or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they'd be like, right, what time are you in? What time do I expect to see you at your desk or logged online?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but yeah, they are the three, as we say, you know, me and Meg, you will, the more you listen to us, the more you learn. We love to go off on a tangent, don't we, when we talk about this stuff. But
Yeah, we're
it's
just
because
loving
it's
that, I guess.
so passionate about what we talk about, and it's passionate to us, and we want to let you guys experience what we've been through, and how we are very similar yet very different on our journeys, and a lot of you will be able to relate to what we're talking about. But yeah, they're three of our top things that have changed us really since coming.
Yeah. There's been loads, but I think those three are a good place to start. I mean, there's definitely a lot more that we can go into in other podcasts. And again, guys, we always take, you know, great feedback and stuff. So if there are particular points on this podcast that have resonated with you or you'd like us to expand on, then do let us know.
Yeah.
And we would love to put those into another podcast for you.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, we'll wrap it up for episode 3 there. And I hope you guys enjoyed your listening to us today. All sorts of stuff, and we look very much forward to next week sharing more with you. So yeah, any feedback, guys, as Meg said, is welcome. We love to hear from you, and we'll drop in some Q&As and we'll share some books as well for you guys. And
yeah,
feel free to follow us. Our socials will be on the thumbnail so you can find us on
there.
Yeah.
Let's all connect. And yeah, have an incredible day, guys. And we hope that you've enjoyed listening to this episode 3. And we'll be back next week.
See you next week.
Take care.